Greetings! I am Herbert Erperdab, and today I am experimenting with coloured tiling grout. I've seen people using this for scenic bases and as a weathering material on tank tracks and the like before, and I decided to have a play with it for myself. I bought two 1.5 kilogram boxes from the hardware for a little less than $10 a piece. I bought two boxes because I couldn't decide on a colour. I decided to mix both colours to see how it would turn out because they didn't seem to have a shade in between the light and dark colours, though I'm not really happy with the colour I got, so I probably won't bother mixing them in the future. Though it's fine for my purposes today, and it can probably be altered later. The first method I wanted to try is about as simple as it can get. I spread out some PVA glue on my test board and then applied a liberal sprinkling of the grout. Shake the excess onto some paper to use again later and allow the glue to soak into the remaining grout. Next I tried adding water to the grout. I made a very runny mixture with the thought that this could possibly be poured like cement. I put a bit onto the board and spread it out. It was thick enough to hold its shape and liquid enough to be spread out very easily and maintain a smooth surface. Next I added more dry grout to thicken the mixture up significantly. I ended up with a consistency of sticky, thick mud, which in reality I suppose is exactly what it is. I think this would work fantastically as churned up mud on a battlefield, maybe with some gloss on it so it looks like it's nice and fresh and wet. I tried pressing a tank track into some of the test pieces and the result was okay. Not quite as well defined as it would be if you pressed one into green stuff, but it probably looks a bit more realistic, especially for less fresh tracks. I tried adding some fine rocks to the grout for a more rocky, lumpy kind of soil, and I applied it in the same manner as the first test, except I tried leaving it in thicker piles. I lightly sprayed some water on it and the first test, with the thought that the water would cause the grout to set and harden rather than remaining loose. I also tried pressing a tank track into it, though it didn't work as well as the other tests. Then I tried adding plain grout without the layer of PVA glue underneath, hoping that spraying water on top would solidify the entire thing and cause it to adhere to the board. I may have gone overboard with the water. Now for some results. The first one turned out alright. It looks like fairly hard dirt, the track marks are clearly visible and they look pretty good. This one looks okay. You can tell that the glue is still a bit wet after a few hours. This one looks very much like churned up mud and I'm really happy with it. And this one looks like poured cement. It's also quite good. This last one looks good, like loose dirt, but unfortunately that's exactly what it is. It came right off the board with a gentle touch. Not entirely unexpected really. A base layer of PVA glue seems to be required. This one broke apart a bit too, and only partially due to the still wet glue. I think I made this too thick. I think I'll have to rely on layers under the grout to provide contours in future. This one was good and solid, just as expected. This one here was also pretty solid, though it could easily be chipped away and damaged with a little effort. This last one was also nice, solid and hard. I decided to do some quick testing of washes and paints. This is some watered down army painted dark tone. It works, but this material seems quite thirsty, and if I were to do this on anything big, I would find some cheap inks or something to make a wash from. It would work quite nicely to make splashes of different colour on the dirt, like blood or something. The wash was next to impossible to brush onto this test piece, so I gave up. It went onto this piece perfectly well, not much to add here. And just about the same for this one. With some washing and a bit of dry brushing, this should make fairly convincing concrete surfaces or roads. So how well do these take paint? First one isn't too bad. I don't think trying to paint it with a brush will yield good results though. Maybe airbrushing would. I didn't bother with the piece next to it. This one takes paint well, being a hard surface. I might be able to hand paint some interesting muddy colours. Combined with gloss varnish, it should look just like fresh mud. I had no doubt that this one would take the paint just as well as the first. I'm just very easily amused. It's a good thing. Now to try some dry brushing. I chose yellow because why not? It worked perfectly well on these two pieces, but not so much on this one. The surface is too loose and the dry brushing just rubs it off, so no paint is applied. In conclusion, I think I had some good results, and some bad. I'm confident in experimenting further with this stuff on actual models now. Thanks for watching. Farewell.